where I want to start is take me to Shanghai, or take us to Shanghai. It was Shanghai. What was it like when you first, where was it, set the scene, paint the picture of the first time you ever sipped kombucha?
So I remember 2014 landing in Shanghai airport, getting in a taxi, which I had to hustle for, and looking at my pret-a-manger bag with my mango and lime pot in it and thinking, oh my God, home is so far away right now. Where the hell am I? Couldn't see out of the window because it was just smog. So it was a rude awakening when I arrived. And I was studying politics over there and had quite a lot of free time on my hands as such. And so I took a course on Chinese medicine. And it was when I went to 1 week, they were speaking about your stomach and digestion. And in Chinese medicine, they call it qi, which means energy. And it was a lecture entirely around your stomach energy. And my Chinese doctor brought in some kombucha. I'd never heard of it before, had no idea what it was. And you've seen it brewing. It looks like kind of an alien in a jar, stringy, gangly bits of yeast and bacteria floating around, not that appealing. So I was a bit hesitant to try. And then in the spirit of being in Asia and trying all new things with an open mind, I said, give me some of that. And it was love at first sip.
Love at first sip. So you're in the lecture theatre, like, talk me through the steps of, was it Dr. Chang?
Yeah.
Dr. Chang.
Yeah. It was more of a cafe workshop vibe. Wasn't really a lecture theatre, but
oh, of course, sorry. I was getting so confused there. So you're in this cafe. What is it, on like a busy street? Is it downtown Shanghai? I mean, I've never been to Shanghai.
Yeah. It was in the French concession, which if you have been to Shanghai, you'll know is quite a cool, trendy area. Let's compare it to Shoreditch.
Oh, shock! You're in Shoreditch.
I'm in Shoreditch.
Not too far from home.
I tried to be cool there, but it was a cafe, and it was set up by an Australian expat who was running the course with her Chinese doctor and teaching basically Western expats all around traditional Chinese medicine. Because so much of Chinese medicine is woven into culture in Shanghai. For example, you'd go to a park and you'd see people singing and dancing. They say that's very good for your mental health. If you have some spit or phlegm in your throat, it's very known there. You would spit it out on the street. Doesn't matter if you get it on someone's foot. It's very kind of... That was a sort of big shock, but they're clearing the phlegm from their throat so they can balance the elements in their body and make sure everything's in balance. So basically Chinese medicine weaves into Chinese culture. So by studying Chinese medicine, I was able to understand my surroundings.
That's mental. Yeah, because I think why I love doing this podcast with chefs is because I think it's the same thing. Food interweaves with culture, and actually, if you ask about the culture, you understand the food, and if you ask about the food, you understand the culture. Super interesting. Like that pie guy I was just telling you about.
Yeah.
Like he was telling me about how pies back in the day. I mean, this guy went in on learning how pies were made. Pies were like chicken shops. Pie rooms like chicken shops. They over time got decimated and eaten up. But you understand our culture through that. You said medicine's interweaved into the culture, the people singing in the park or dancing in the park. Like, what other lessons, go into that a little bit further, like what else did you learn about medicine and the culture piece?
I think, coming from growing up in England in a nice little countryside town, just things like if I had a headache, I'd pop a paracetamol. Whereas in China or Shanghai, if I had a headache, they would say maybe there's an imbalance in your body. First go to food, first go to hydration. There might be some herbs, there might be some natural ways to cure your ailment. You don't have to just suddenly reach for medication. And I think I'd always grown up just, if I had something wrong with me, stick a plaster on it, it will go away, instead of thinking about the root cause. So I think Chinese medicine is all about thinking you know, how can I be in balance and how can I get to the root cause of it? We didn't think like that, I think, growing up here. And that's where the kind of East meets West comes into it.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast yesterday, Joe Rogan with Whitney Cummings. And she was saying, you know, at school, you always used to see, there'd always be a kid in the class with a bat in like a plaster.
Yeah.
You don't really see that anymore. How mental is that? You don't.
Why?
I don't know. But I don't know what I mean. Well, I suppose what I'm trying to go with. I don't know if I can say that. But what I mean is we always trying to put things on people. We're trying to medicate before actually looking internally and solving the issue through, as you said, the word balance. And I think obviously we're going to get onto it. Kombucha and gut health is one part of that puzzle. But I think, yeah, growing up, I was always just like, you know, have a fucking bit of Calpol, mate, and have a Kit Kat, you'll be fine. I'm a Bungo Kit Kat, and I was great, you know. But I think if you go a little bit deeper in, there's like a whole myriad of different ways of looking at how to solve things. What other lessons did you take from your time in China that changed the way you live your life back here in London?
I think I just had to be really curious because I had no mates. I was on a different time zone. Everything was foreign to me. Tap water, you couldn't drink. I couldn't access the news, had to use a VPN.
Really?
Yeah. Facebook, BBC News, all blocked out there.
You're joking?
So my life was just constantly about finding a solution to something, or finding my way around something. I remember trying to get a taxi in my first week and they wouldn't take me because I couldn't speak Mandarin. So I'd have to do sign language or, you know, try and write it on a piece of paper. Will you take me to this restaurant? And there was never going to be a moment where I wasn't going to get in the car. I was always going to get in the car. I just had to find a way to communicate it. So I don't know. I think it really taught me to think outside the box, to have an appreciation for a culture so different to anything I've known before, and have a bit of a humbleness around that. You know, going back to the spitting thing, when I first arrived...
Spit on the street now, and now you're back in London, you just walk around...
I did try it out when I was there. When I first arrived, and I'm walking out, and everyone's spitting everywhere, you know, in my mind, I'm like, God, that's gross. What on earth is going on? And actually, it's not gross. It's just a very practical way. If you've got something in your mouth, why don't we spit it out? Why do we just, you know, going for a run, probably, you know, phlegmy mouth or something, it would be natural just to spit. And actually...
Sorry, you'd like to come this way slightly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
So also realising in a post-pandemic world, it's probably not good to advocate spitting.
Oh, no. It's all good. But I think what you said there about the taxi and being forced to be curious. Curiosity is the birthplace of thinking outside the box. I know that sounds so David Brent, but it is, right? It's like the more curious you are, the more different ways you find into things and out of things. And the way you hail down a cab is, and we can't talk about the example, but what you've just done as of yesterday with a buyer about getting their attention, it's the same lesson. Obviously, we won't say what that is, but those principles of being super curious, forcing yourself to think out of the box, you've got to do that with building a brand. Oh, yeah. Super interesting. What did you, we're going to get onto this, don't worry, onto the brand, but I'm trying to kind of understand the foundations, because it's very different having a sip of kombucha in the French Quarter or French Connection, whereas...
French concession, yeah.
French Connection. God, I'm always thinking about fashion, mate. Always thinking about fashion, mate. French Connection, that's jokes. FC UK, mate. But, so you're in the French Quarter. Concession. Fucking hell, right. French concession.
We're in French Connection in Shanghai.
Having kombucha. And... That's hilarious. So you're in the French concession. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Honestly, means the absolute world to me.
I'd be so grateful for a small favour, please. It is so hard growing a YouTube channel. It is so bloody hard. If you please enjoy these videos, just click the subscribe button. More subscribers equals bigger guests equals better conversations, and hopefully you can learn more as you build your food and drink brand. Thank you so, so much.
What does it do to you, the drink? What makes you suddenly think, I need to start brewing this? How does it start brewing in you, the idea? Do you know what I mean? Talk to me about that.
I think firstly it was theoretical. It was, oh my gosh, I've just learned about the theory that fermented food and drink.
Right. So you're in Uniqlo.
So I'm in Topshop.
Yeah, sorry, I'll try and give a straight face.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're in wherever you're in, yeah?
She basically, my Chinese doctor taught me all about why gut health was so important. Your immune system, your serotonin, your mood, your libido, your energy, everything comes from your gut. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. This seems pretty important. And I remember then trying the drink, almost thinking it was a medicine. You know, this drink can do certain properties for me. But then the fact that I enjoyed the taste was what blew my mind, because you think of medicine as, you know, a wheatgrass shot or a, you know, green juice you have to hold your nose and glug down, when actually this was something that was really enjoyable. And I think that for me was a really aha moment of, oh my gosh, I can have taste and refreshment and functionality in a beverage, because I'd grown up drinking soda. So, you know, cereal, Diet Coke lover, love my can of pop. And even in Shanghai, I would, you know, find fizzy drinks and drink it. So to find something that was fizzy, refreshing, soft and functional in kombucha was just mind-blowing.
Was kombucha big over there?
No, and that's the interesting thing as well. So it comes from Asia thousands of years ago, and it travelled along the sink 221 BC to be specific, although there's lots of myths and legends around it.
Legends.
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 Well, it's a fermented tea, right? And tea comes from Asia. So where there is something in abundance, usually a product will, you know, come out of it. But I've always referred to kombucha like the pizza effect. Have you heard of this?
Pray tell.
So I can't remember where I heard of this, but essentially pizza has left Italy, gone to America, and is now coming back into Italy, but Americanized. So young kids in Italy are growing up thinking Domino's or, you know, American-style pizza is what traditional pizza is, but it's not, if that makes sense. Yeah. And it's kind of happening with kombucha, I think. It started in Asia, traveled along the Silk Road into Eastern Europe. This is way back when. And then ended up in America, where it's now $1 billion industry. And now it's working its way back. We see it massive in America, weaving into Europe. And I bet you in 10 years' time, kombucha will be big in Asia again.
So the bit about it being small in Asia and it becoming big in the UK, and I think the pizza effect's really interesting, because I've sort of waxed lyrical and probably bored people to death. They're talking about how some ideas work in America doesn't mean it's going to work in the UK. Mm-hmm. And I've talked about that, and I think as much as I think kombucha as a category has got a way to go in terms of people really understanding what it is. Yeah. I think it will happen, but it's going to be a much slower process than.
Absolutely.
As we were saying, like, I know the kombucha world's very friendly. Like, Josh used to be a sponsor from Momo.
Yeah.
Like, he was saying it's going to take a while. Obviously, William was saying with LA, like, there's the category's got to do the work as much as the brands within that category.
Yeah, and it might not be the same as well. Kombucha might never look like the US, and I'm not talking about size, but actually product. in the US, you can be niche and mainstream because of the sheer size of it. California is 3 times the size of the UK?
Yeah.
Whereas in the UK, you need to, I think, be very accessible. And that's why taste in kombucha is probably the number one barrier.
We'll get on to that, because I think there's a really interesting thing of what brands are doing to make it more mainstream. And I think as you said, in America you can be niche and mainstream, whereas how does that happen in the UK? You've got brands like Perfect Ted who've kind of crossed that chasm. Like, where does that look like in kombucha? But back to China. So what else did you kind of learn from being immersed in that culture? Or like, what's one thing that kind of Chinese people understand that people who are not from China would never understand?
It's a great question. One thing I loved was that there was no direct translation for please. They were just very, very pragmatic with, if they wanted something, the translation in English is give me this. Manners maybe are less of a thing. And I liked how...
In China,
yeah. Whereas I think, I felt really prudish over there. The whole spitting thing, the pleases and thank yous,
So you've gone to Glastonbury. Come back.
No, but over there, people are just very rational and direct. A plus A equals A. Yeah. I don't know, but there wasn't a word for please, and I liked that. I liked how just I could walk into a shop and go in and get what I want and say, give me this, thank you, bye. Probably shouldn't have said thank you.
You've probably gone back to your village as some sort of reprobate, just spitting and not saying thank you.
But it works over there. I think they just get it done. That's what I liked. There was no fluff.
And what are the lessons you apply from your time in China to brand building with Fix8 and Fibe?
I think, I don't know really, if I'm honest about that. I can't think of one or two things directly, but I
think the word that you're talking about, the story about being direct, there's no please.
Oh yeah, but I've learned that as I've got older. I've just got to, I think at the beginning of this journey, I was very woolly. I remember especially actually when we were first raising investment, I was so woolly. And I remember...
What do you mean by woolly?
Just, so I've got this thing, doing this. Instead, it's like, I'm raising X amount at this valuation. We're turning over this. Are you in or are you out? And I just remember a friend's dad actually sitting me down and being like, Freya, when you get to the end of these meetings, you have to blooming tee it up. You have to say, are you in or are you out? Whereas I was such a fence sitter for so long because I didn't want to have those tricky conversations. I didn't want rejection. So I would just walk around the edges. And I think that's just a natural human thing to avoid rejection. Now I almost seek it out.
I love that. And there's a lot in that for people listening who have to get rejected, by buyers, by investors. I was speaking to a mate last night who's going through the ringer, getting investments and like constant rejection. Let's talk about going from woolly to direct, because it's a valuable skill. What happened internally in Freya to change from going woolly to direct, and what advice could you pass on to listeners who are maybe a bit on the fence in a woolly hat? Do you know what I mean? I don't know why I said it like that, but yeah.
From French Connection.
Yeah, from French Connection.
So if you're wearing a woolly hat from French Connection...
Yeah, on the fence.
I don't think there's one magic solution. What I would say is time and confidence, knowing your own worth, and also knowing that you don't need everyone to say yes. And rejection is part of the building blocks that makes you stronger. So I love the idea that rejection is not a bad thing. It's, not to get too woo-woo, but it's the universe pointing you in a different direction. And I think when you can hang your hat on that, this person or, whether it's an investor or a partner, they were not right for me. My path was not with them. It's with someone better. Something bigger is coming. So I think you have to discern in your mind that something greater is ahead. and trust in that process.
Yeah, I've never been good with rejection. I got sacked off by some girl the other week. I did not take that well at all.
No, it bruises your ego. That's
it bruises
why.
your ego, yeah. I was like, why did I get my clothes from French Connection? But yeah, and also I think separating your worth from your work's worth is a really interesting thing. I'm interviewing this footballer in a couple of weeks who's now got a food brand, not some random footballer.
Okay.
Thomas Robson Canoe.
The shots.
Turmeric shots.
Yeah.
And I listened to a podcast he was doing about this, about how he got over the fear of not rejection, but not being selected, getting injured. It's the same thing. You getting a buyer saying no to you or investors saying no. It's a bit like taking a knock or, not being picked. It's the same fucking feeling of rejection. And he had this ability to separate his worth from his work's worth, which is really hard, especially as a founder when your soul is in the product.
Yeah.
And I think what you said was super interesting about kind of the universe
Pointing you in a different direction.
So let's use that as a kind of a delta to kind of traverse, if that's the right way of saying it. But so the universe pointing you in the right direction. So you're in China. You've tried this magic potion by Dr. Chang, and
In FC UK.
in FC UK.
China was also never the plan, by the way. The dream was Georgetown in America. So when I talk about rejection and being pointed in the right direction...
Why Georgetown?
Because I studied politics. That was any political undergrad.
Where is
Georgetown's in America.
Washington. Is it in Washington?
In Washington. I think so.
Yeah. Somewhere.
Didn't do geography.
Yeah. That way. As though that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Fuck knows. Okay, interesting. So then that rejection points you to China.
Yeah, I got an offer from Fudan Dashui. And I was like, oh, what? Is that in California? Where will I be spending my year abroad?
It sounds like you're in Bali.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So then the universe points you away from, quite geopolitical this podcast, points you away from Georgetown, Washington to China, and you're there. You've tried this amazing drink. What are the first one or two steps you take to actually turning this into a brand? Because I love that gestation period. Delighted to announce the extension of our partnership with the wonderful Billy and Paul from Mackenzie Jones, but even more exciting, they have just launched a brand new brand as part of Mackenzie Jones called MKJ Ignite. MKJ Ignite is a recruitment firm which specialises full shebang, focused entirely on challenge brand space. They work with some incredible brands: Lucky Saint, Good Rays, Purdy and Fig, Hunter and Gather, and Real Superfoods. They can support with your hiring needs across all levels, top to bottom, junior entry-level jobs, all the way through up to MD and CEO level. So if you're looking for a field sales stomper, a sales wizard, an ops guru, a supply chain sensei, you name it, MKJ Ignite can help you out. And look, if you're looking to wet your whistle, ignite your curiosity, then check out the poddy we recorded with them back in July. Laden with wisdom, all about like do's and don'ts of hiring and like how to create the perfect job description. You will love it. Guys, are you ready? There is gonna be some absolutely, totally, brilliantly bonkers next level madness coming your way today. Are you ready to take your brand to a whole new stratosphere for free? Imagine connecting your product to a digital world through a simple smartphone scan. You know the drill, scan it, bish bash bosh, you're away. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the magic of the new GS1 powered QR codes. These next generation barcodes act as a gateway to a world of endless possibilities. They connect your product's unique identity to multiple online sources of enriched real-time content. Why on planet Earth should you be getting your mitts on these GS1 powered QR codes? Well, look, very, very simple, mate. GS1 will help you drive revenue, upsell and cross-sell your amazing products, boost your bottom line. Yes, please. Where do I sign? Enhance customer engagement. Look, delight your customers with dynamic content that captivates and keeps them coming back for more. Please, sir, can I have some more? Yes, you can. Comply with regulations. Look, you want to be building your brand. You don't want to be knee-deep, wading through a deep river of legislation, aggravation. These barcodes allow you to stay ahead of the curve. Look, don't allow this beautiful boat of boundless opportunity to sail away into the molting sunset. Be on that boat. Join GS1's UK's free pilot program today. Yes, it's completely free. There will be a link in the show notes. Thank you so much.
At the time, my focus was on getting my degree. So there was no business idea. I really would not say I was a born entrepreneur, with this wanting to do a business. It was pure passion. My fuel was passion. And when I got back to university in my final year, I tried to find kombucha. I think I found one bottle with stringy bits in it, collecting dust in a very sort of old health food shop. And I thought, oh, that doesn't appeal to me from a brand, from a flavor, from a product point of view. And then I just started Googling and realized I could make it myself. So like any final year undergrad, bought some bacteria on the internet, and all my mates were going to bed watching Netflix, and I'd be reading Sandor Katz, The Art of Fermentation, and teaching myself how to make kombucha.
That's Ben's book, isn't it? The Art of Fermentation.
No. Sandor Katz.
No, sorry, carry on. Yeah.
He's meant to be the father of fermentation. Got a great story. Sandor Kraut is his fermented name.
Sandor Kraut.
Sandor Kraut. That's what he goes by.
Is that because he did sauerkraut?
Because he's a fermentation obsessive, basically. Right. And he knows everything. He's written a lot of good books on fermentation.
Around?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
He travels now, but he lives in Tennessee. He's got an amazing story. I think he actually contracted HIV back in, I want to say, the 80s. And he then got into sort of natural way of living and healing through fermented food, which has prolonged his immune system for a very long time, alongside, I'm sure, lots of other things like medication. But he's got a great story. Anyway, I started reading his book like the Holy Bible and was so inspired. I'd never really come across fermentation before, and yet when I was reading the book, all the best things were fermented. Wine, coffee, cheese, you name it, all the best things. And when I got to the chapter on kombucha, it said like ingredients list. It was nothing like an Ottolenghi recipe. It was 4 simple ingredients: water, sugar, SCOBY, and tea. And I thought, can't be that hard to make. So I just bought a little heat tray, because I was at Edinburgh, so our student flat was freezing. Bought a little heat tray, got my brew station going, and just started fermenting kombucha under my uni desk. Very uncool, made some horrific stuff, and slowly engulfed a corner of my uni kitchen. My housemates thought, what on earth are you doing? But they let me roll with it. And it was my best friend, actually, who said, when I started making some half decent stuff, you should do this as a business idea. And I was like, what? No one's going to want my hippie juice. And here we are.
So then going from your room with hippie juice to your first stockist, your first deal, like what does that look like?
Oh my gosh, the funnest, wildest year ever.
What year is this?
So I graduated in 2016.
Same as me.
Went to India for 3 months, trained as a yoga teacher. Namaste.
Namaste, bro.
And we should say namaste this time of year, apparently.
Namaste?
Namasanta slay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're way more Christmassy than I am at the minute. Sorry.
And then when I was in India, I had a lot of time on my hands and was doing lots of meditation, and I was in a very spiritual country as well. So I was very reflective about what I wanted to do after university, and I was applying for the Barclays grad scheme, and I just thought, this just does not ring true on so many levels. And the friend I was traveling with was going back to a super solid law job. And I remember...
Super solid law job, I love that.
And every time we'd meet...
That's how they said it to university. This is a super solid law job.
Yeah, she's now in publishing, so that didn't really last too long. But every time we'd meet people when we were traveling, they'd say to us, what do you guys do? And I was always, I was sort of woolly hat in French Connection vibes. It was just did my yoga teacher training. I like this kombucha thing. Just graduated with a politics degree, but I've got no idea what I'm going to do. And I'm cool with that. I'm actually happy sitting in that discomfort for now, because I know that whatever I go on and do will actually ring true to me, and I'm not just going to go to Canary Wharf and, work at Barclays if I got accepted. And that reflection time just allowed me to be really concrete in, okay, I'm going to give this a crack and do this as a business. And so when I got back to the UK, 2016 still, I was actually introduced to my then co-founder, who said to me, he met a friend of mine doing a Leith's cooking course, and I got a very formal email.
Very
formal email.
Direct, yeah.
Completely out of the blue. Very direct. And
super solid.
Super solid.
Yeah.
And he basically said, "Hi, Freya, I've heard through your friend that you're thinking of starting a kombucha company. I am too. Want to meet up?" And I was like, oof, this is a bit random, but always up for a chat. And I remember vividly, we met at this coffee shop just off Regent Street, and he arrived with a briefcase of homebrewed kombucha. And I thought, I highly rate that. And we did a little tasting of each other's homebrews across the table. And it was so bizarre. And it was just, he was a lot later on in life as well. So we were total strangers meeting for the first time. But there was this shared vision and shared possibility of what the kombucha category could be in the UK. So after doing a Myers-Briggs test together by one of his friends who is a psychologist, we thought, great. On paper, we've got complementary skills. In practice, we get on. Let's go for it. And then we had about a year of R&D, in which time I convinced my mum to fly to Portland, Oregon with me, the kombucha capital of the world, where I could go and hunt down any commercial kombucha brewer and pick their brains. And we did a whole tour from Portland down to LA, just meeting kombucha brewers. I'd find them on Instagram. I'd message them on Facebook. I was just that weird person popping up in their inbox. "Hi, I'm Freya from London, here on a bit of a kombucha research mission. Tasted yours, absolutely love it. Want to meet for a coffee?" And surprisingly, people said yes. So
paint the picture of Portland in Oregon. I've got a family friend who lives there, but I've never been around them anyway. But I'm trying to understand the difference between the UK and kombucha in America, because I went over to do a podcast over there with Athletic Brewing to New York. I walked into Whole Foods, I was like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
It's just like gargantuanly bigger than
Narnia.
Yeah, it's like Narnia. Like literally. Talk to me about Oregon, Portland.
So, I mean, I think Portland, Oregon is one of the most future thinking places I've been.
Actually, I won't get into that, but yeah.
What?
I was going to say, isn't it like, it's very like sort of blue hair and stuff like that? But
Yeah. I was, well, when I went to Portland, I was actually vegan at the time. And
you have blue hair.
And I didn't have blue hair then. I was vegan at the time, and I'd never been somewhere and felt so welcomed. You go anywhere, veganism was normal. They were way ahead of it. So I just loved how open it was there. On every shop window, it would say, we welcome Black, Hispanic, Indian. They were just so welcoming. Everyone is welcome here. There was just this amazing culture of craft. Craft breweries were the norm, and therefore craft kombucha. So it was just such an inspiring place, and everyone I'm sure that, I was only there for a week, so I'm sure there's lots I didn't see. But in terms of that initial feeling, it really was and probably still is. Lots of people think it's LA. It's actually Portland. That's the capital of kombucha in my eyes.
What was the most interesting conversation you had out there with one of the brewers?
Actually, a British guy who had set up a kombucha brewery in Portland, and he was my first meeting, so it was kind of a nice bridge. And my mum and I drove to his brewery, and he showed me around. I'd never seen a brewery before, let alone a kombucha brewery. So all these, corny kegs. And
what's the name of his brand? Or her? Yeah.
It's called Happy Mountain Kombucha.
Right.
And he was just such a nice guy. The thing that struck me the most was actually how kind and open people were. And I think that very much speaks to the culture of fermentation. It's all about sharing. When you brew kombucha, you start with 1 SCOBY and you get 2 through the brewing process. So why would you throw the other one away? You'd pass it on. And that's how it traveled. And people are just very open. So I was really welcomed in. And it was amazing to see it at commercial scale. And it, I think, painted a picture for me of, okay, it's happening. I could do this back home. This hasn't been done yet. And I can see it. I can physically see it. I can touch it. I can talk about it. I can smell it. I can be in the space where my dream is actually happening, just in another country. So how can I bring that back home and do it my own way in, my own city with different consumers? So I ended up working in a pickle shop in Berkeley, California for a month, just learning everything about fermentation. And, one woman invited me around her house and was dehydrating some apples, and we would speak about sauerkraut and kimchi, and she made me kombucha shandies, and it was the most bonkers year probably of my life of just researching everything about kombucha and fermentation. But it just inspired me so much that when I came back to the UK, there was only one thing on my mind, and it was starting this business.
What else did you learn at the pickle shop? Like, talk me through what that looked like. Because in my head, I've got bearded fella for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
Bingo.
So they make the best pickles ever.
Where was it in Berkeley? On a busy road?
In Berkeley, yeah. It was, no, not a really busy road. Can't remember the road, what it was. But the place is called the Cultured Pickle Shop. And if you're ever in Berkeley, then, oh my gosh, you've got to go. They make the best pickles, kombuchas, sauerkrauts, kimchis in the world. They have like a cave where they store things. And I think when we were there, we tried some miso that had been fermenting for, over 10 years or something. And it's a family-run business, pure obsession. They get there 5 a.m, they're shredding the cabbage, and it was so humbling. I was a university graduate, suddenly found myself on my knees with knee pads, massaging cabbage on the floor in a Berkeley fermentarian. It was really bonkers, but I loved it.
Were you still meditating during this period?
Yeah, I was very into my yoga.
So I meditate daily, and I was speaking to Renee Elliott about this. The episode went out yesterday, actually, and we were talking about how I was asking her. I knew she meditated daily. I've spoken to her quite a few times. I was like, so during that period in Planet Organics and administration, I was like, what meditation allows you to do? That's this kind of universe piece. I know it's a bit woo-woo, but fuck it. But I genuinely believe that meditation can provide is a way to access external answers internally. And I think it allows you, with that meditation period, it allows you to realize, I don't have to go and do the Barclays job in Canary Wharf. I'm going to follow that. The universe is going to pull me towards this, from China back to the US, ironically, to this pickle shop in Berkeley. I'd love to know, looking into this sort of gestation period, this beginning of the brand, when you were meditating, what was kind of coming to you? What answers were you landing on?
I'd say for me, meditation wasn't about finding the answers externally. It was around creating a space every day where I'd wipe the foggy window clean and actually see what was already there. So it was less around searching externally, but seeing what was already in front of me and trusting that. So, for me, it was very much around trust and stabilizing, really. It grounds me and allows me to just be with myself and not suddenly be in this hamster wheel of thinking, okay, all my friends are on grad jobs. I'd be at a dinner party and someone would say, so what do you do? And I'd say, oh, I'm thinking about starting a kombucha company. And they'd just, say, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah.
So I really had to almost just let that slide. A bit like they say in meditation, you know, just think of it like clouds passing by, and the clouds are your thoughts. We're all the blue sky, and the blue sky is always there. We just have to let the clouds clear. And so watch those clouds as if you're watching TV or you're watching a mirror, and just let them pass you by. You are not your thoughts. And that was probably a foundational training that I had to learn when I was in India, and actually in my final year of uni, and probably nods back to Shanghai, where I really discovered yoga as well. And that all kind of weaved itself into, okay, my first year, just trust the process, keep putting one foot in front of the other, and keep being curious.
Yeah, it's mad how I think we are seeing from the same hymn sheet, but we're seeing in different tones here. In that, like, I was like, oh, the answers come externally. Because even when I took the jump on this, or the leap on this, I was doing a lot of meditations about, is this the right thing to do? And I feel like the answers are coming to me.
Yeah.
Whereas what you're saying is like, if you polish it up, or that the clouds are people's expectations. The clouds are your mates laughing at the dinner party. The clouds are the fucking email from Barclays saying you've got a grad scheme job. If you allow them to pass, the answer's right in front of you.
Yeah.
It's the same. Yeah, as I say, we're singing from the same hymn sheet.
It's gut instinct, right?
Gut instinct.
And everyone talks about that. Follow your instinct.
Let's talk about, pretend I am an absolute Luddite, but pretend I'm a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old. Explain to me the benefits of living cultures and the benefits of, that's prebiotic, isn't it?
That's prebiotic. It's probiotic.
Yeah. So I suppose the first question, explain to me what the benefit of drinking kombucha is, because I see a lot of the brands, or I see a lot of, not just in kombucha, but a lot of brands talking about the features. Like, we've got loads of prebiotic, we've got loads of probiotic, we've got loads of living. As a imagine I'm a 3-year-old. Explain why that is good for me if I drink it.
KOMBoooYahcakshaaaaa, our beloved sponsor, are helping build the fastest growing challenger food and drink brands. Look, if you're a small brand just starting out and need your first indie stockist, your first 100 stockists to wholesale, KOMBoooYahcakshaaaaa are the platform to categorically speed that up. But if you're a big brand wanting to get bigger, KOMBoooYahcakshaaaaa are also insane. They make field sales marble smooth, silky slick. They're just epic. Ollie's been on this podcast twice, actually. They saw a 29% uplift in sales when using KOMBoooYahcakshaaaaa to check major malt listings availability. Insane. 29% uplift by downloading an app. Insane. Lucky Saint, my boy Aaron Duff, who's coming on this podcast in a couple of weeks, he uses it to manage a team of 30 people, and Lucky Saint have unlocked 500 draft listings by using KOMBoooYahcakshaaaaa. Look, you've got to get involved with this stuff. It's absolutely insane, and it will categorically change your life. It's just the sickest platform. I use it all the time at Islands.
Hi guys, super quick one. So excited. Look, for years I've been badgering on about Hungry the podcast. You're probably bored to death. Thanks for putting up with me. But Hungry is also an agency, and we look after one amazing brand called Islands Chocolate. We've had a great time over the year. We've won listings at a load of wholesalers. We've won Milk and More. We've got our first grocery listing coming very soon, which is very, very sick. But what I'm thrilled to announce is Hungry is merging with HC Consulting. My boy Harry Clark and his wonderful team, he's an absolute G. They do brand strategy, new business and account management. But why I really love working with Harry, and why we've got on so well over the last couple of months, is Harry was actually the founder of the boozy ice-lolly brand Pops. So he's been in the trenches, he's grafted his face off, he's had the sleepless nights, he's had the turmoil, he's had the triumph, he knows what it is to be a founder, he is a founder. And he's got a proven track record in grocery and out of home. Holy Moly Dips, The Gut Stuff, Savile Drinks, Remio Gelato. So if you're a brand and you're stuck, you're looking for like new business help, you're looking to scale, drop us a message, we'd love to chat. Thank you so much. Back to the old episode.
Okay, so Kombucha 101.
Yep.
4 ingredients: tea, water, sugar, SCOBY. The SCOBY is the symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. It's the mother culture that essentially eats the sugar, the yeast eat the sugar, and convert it into ethanol and CO2. That's fermentation. So if you're a 3-year-old
Yeah.
I'd say kombucha is
Might get a sticker after this, yeah?
yeah, possibly. You're going to get a cinnamon bun.
Yeah, cinnamon bun. Yeah, Jolene, baby.
Kombucha is a fizzy, delicious tonic, sparkling drink, which is really good for your gut. And why it's good for your gut is because it's rich in probiotics, which our microbiome need. So we are more bacteria than we are human. Scientifically, there is more bacteria, or in terms of percentage of cells and numbers of microbes, we are physically more microbes than we are human. And we need to feed those microbes, our microbiome, with probiotics, prebiotics, fiber, to create a very diverse ecosystem which allows our body to thrive. You know, in the East, they say all disease starts in the gut, or all disease starts with bad digestion. It's what they say in Ayurveda, which is the system of medicine in India. And your digestion is therefore, it's the epicenter of your well-being. Gut health is the epicenter of your well-being. So if you're not looking after that, we're going to really suffer. And that's why we see a massive rise of allergies and illnesses and you name it. It's because our microbial health is on the decline because we're eating ultra-processed foods and we've got no connection to
French connection.
to French. We've got no connection to the French.
Yeah. So that all makes sense to me. But what I suppose I'm trying to get to from the brand perspective, is you've just told me that in like a couple of minutes, right? On the shelf edge, it's always been hard. Is how do you convey that into almost like a word? So Trip with CBD, Trip with CBD, they did a really good job. I think one of the reasons they've become like a huge success is because I remember going to NOPE. Nope. Were you there? Nope. And I was walking around and it was like, you know, either some medicinal shit or Snoop Dogg trying to sell some wacky backy. Like you're walking around, it's all wacky ganja kind of vibes, yeah. 25 grams of this, 25 grams of this. We've got all this CBD. Features. Everyone was like, what is this CBD thing? Trip came in, and instead of talking about features, they talked about the benefits. Yeah. Calm in everyday chaos. So I was like, if I drink a Trip, I'm going to feel calm. And I suppose with kombucha, what I don't understand with kombucha is I understand the living cultures bit. I understand like the epicenter bit, but is it a preventative thing or what is that word? I know it's really hard.
No, it is. And you know, it's something that I reflect on daily. How can I, the thing is about gut health as well is it's not sexy. Yeah. The gut is not sexy. People don't like talking about digestion. It's not cool. It's just the cleaner.
Oh, right. I thought it might be like some sort of robber trying to get ruin this bloody podcast.
So, yeah, I find that really challenging. How do I sell the benefits? Because there's a massive... I said to my mum the other day, because she used to take Simprove, and Simprove, which is like a liquid probiotic, shout out.
Hungry podcast, represent.
Made in Farnham, actually, near you-ish.
Yeah, not a gazillion miles away.
It's a liquid probiotic, and it's actually why we put science-backed probiotics into it, because there's not really much science behind what is working in terms of the probiotic lens, and also kombucha. There's not much science behind it. So my mum said to me, I've stopped taking Simprove, yada, yada. And I said, why did you stop taking Simprove? And she said, because I feel good. And I said, that's why you need to be taking Simprove, because you're preventing yourself for future illness. It's like meditation. Why would you just meditate when shit hits the fan? Actually, if you're meditating for 5 years before that, maybe the shit might never hit the fan because you've built that mental muscle to stop it getting there. Likewise, with your immune system, your gut health is preventative. Most of your immune comes from your gut. So if you're feeding that daily with, rich probiotics, fermented foods, fiber, diverse plants, nuts, seeds, you are preventing future illness you will never know about because you'll never get it. So how do I put that on a label?
Yeah, it's mad. This is what I'm trying to find fascinating.
So we do now, actually. So we put immune health on the label.
Yeah.
And that's something we did post-pandemic because immunity was a hot topic. And actually your gut health is intimately connected to your immune system and your mood. But I also don't want to overclaim. I don't want to say one can of Fix8 or Fibe is going to, you know, make you invincible, make you never have mental health problems, make you, you know, I don't want to overclaim those things.
Yeah.
So on pack, it's very difficult, but that's where the brand world comes in and that's where the category comes in. And we've got a lot of work to do there. How do we sell the benefits of gut health in a hot, sexy way?
And in one word, I think, or not necessarily, I believe a brand can be boiled down to one word. Like
you do think that?
I think after every guest I've interviewed is my belief of how, and it's just, again, I've never done any marketing agencies or anything like that. Done any marketing agencies, that's not the way of saying it, but it's after speaking to loads of these founders, a brand can be boiled down to one word. So what is your one word as a brand? So Pret was fresh, Itsu is beautiful, Trip is calm, I'm trying to think of some others. I had this on the deck, which I should know this. Anyway, it can be boiled down to one word. Then the question you ask is, who is our friend, i.e. who is our target consumer? So the example I always use is Minor Figures and Rude Health. Their friend is very different. Minor Figures, hipster, Dalston ends.
Yeah.
Rude Health, Parsons Green.
Yeah.
The way they speak, and if you look on their social channels, is very unique. Like, I think Minor Figures is super, like, kind of very hipster, whereas this Rude Health is like the yummy mummy bunchky kind of autumnal whatever. Like, if that's the best way of describing a cup of coffee. But the way they speak is very different.
Yeah.
But I think it goes back to one word, and that one word can be the benefit. But it's just with kombucha, not your two brands, but I'm talking about the category in general. Do you know what I mean? It's like, because I think, as you say, you can be niche and mainstream in America. America, you get a Whole Foods listing in America, it's 250 stores.
Yeah.
You get a Whole Foods listing in the UK, it's 7 stores.
Yeah.
I always think brands should potentially do their NPD meetings in a car park in Sainsbury's in Hull, just to be very blunt about it. But so, what's the word to convince do you know what I mean? But I think what you said there about immune is that's your interpretation of that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like people get immunity, like the cultures and the living things and I don't know. It's a really interesting thing about how the category moves, because it is going to go there. It's just,
but I think
it's a category thing, not a brand thing.
Yeah, kombucha also is. You think about what it could be replacing. For me, it was soda and at times booze.
Yeah.
So maybe that word is better. It's just a better alternative for those moments where you don't want sugar or artificial sweeteners in abundance, or you don't want to drink alcohol. Kombucha is your better option because it's really blooming good for you and it tastes great. If it tastes great.
Yeah, if it's Fix8 or it's Fibe. I think the other example of this is, this like mushroom coffee and stuff.
Yeah.
I had a guy on called Matt Kelly. He's got a brand called Space Goods.
Okay.
Sick. Like, honestly, it's the packaging looks all kind of lurid and esoteric and a bit weird. But you knock some of that back, it's got like lion's mane. Again, it's like, imagine trying to explain this. Like, it's all these weird fucking mushrooms, chaga, lion's mane in this thing. It tastes like hot chocolate. Explain that to me, mate. Like, imagine I'm a 3-year-old. Really hard. Everything he tested on his big D2C brand, nothing worked. Didn't land. Have us instead of coffee replacement, suddenly like wildfire. But it's these little things. Again, back to the meditation. Sometimes you've got to take away all the confusing things, and the answer's right in front of you. Do you know what I mean?
We were speaking earlier about Ben Branson's new venture, and I heard him on a podcast, Genius, just saying that sometimes the best innovation is something that is, just 1% different. It's so familiar. And look at what he did with Seedlip. Looks like gin, smells like gin, tastes like gin, positioned like gin, priced similar, but it's not alcoholic. So everything was familiar about that product in the category, but he solved for the one problem that, you know, gin had, which was that there wasn't a good alcohol alternative. And it's like that, I think, with, well, that's really what we're trying to do more with Fibe, is solve the one problem.
Have you got any to go? Can I have one?
Yeah. What do you want? Fruit punch? Zesty orange?
I'll take any of those. All sound amazing.
Break your fast in a good way.
Oh yeah, I mean the fast is more stopping myself eating that Jolene donut until later on. Didn't Barry do your design packaging?
Yeah.
He's an absolute legend, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a top. He did mine.
He did Fix8. We
Rebrand.
tweet to the labels. Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about why you've got two brands. Like, I find that fascinating as a why.
Yeah. Quite a simple answer, really. Well, initially I was looking to do NPD under Fix8, but when I was getting the same responses from buyers, basically there was a huge kombucha surge in the UK.
When?
In 2000, or well, around 2019, 2020, actually. And suddenly, landing on our shores, all these brands from abroad, and you could not get an elbow in edgeways. And if a buyer so saw the word kombucha in their inbox, numb. They would not even look at you. They wouldn't want to speak to you. It was, I've had this pitch 20 times. I still get that sometimes today. And so when I was looking at doing new products, firstly, I was, and I still am, very obsessed with gut health, and all the latest science is nodding to fibre. Massive fibre problem, massive fibre gap. We're all in a fibre deficit.
So, fibre is different from prebiotic, probiotic?
No, so fibre is prebiotic.
Right.
So just to clarify.
Yeah, again, I'm 3-year-old.
No,
in the
great.
room. Yeah.
Probiotics and prebiotics are different things.
Pray tell.
Prebiotics are fibrous foods, molecules that are non-digestible by the system, and they feed the probiotics. Probiotics are the living bacteria. So they need things to feed on. And if they're starved, so i.e. you're not having enough fibre, then they will just die. And they will not create that healthy microbiome that we need. So you have to be feeding the probiotics with prebiotics. Think of it quite easily as prebiotics are the fertilizer for your gut garden. If you're not pouring fertilizer over your lovely gut garden, it's not going to grow, it's not going to flourish. It's going to be like that plant you bought over lockdown that you're forgetting to water.
Yeah. Okay.
So fibre, we need fibre in our diet, hence why the brand is called Fibe. Yeah. It's got fibre in it. Obviously, I'm not trying to tell people, because it's not sexy, I'm putting fibre on a can. So we've tried to play into, I'd say, soda, the soda category norms, tasting like soda, price like soda.
Yeah.
But totally natural, and with 5 grams of fibre in for a happy gut.
What's been the challenge? So you're going to create NPD. Sorry, I took us down the garden path there. The wrong garden path. The gut garden path. So you're going to create NPD for Fix8. The buyers were numb to you. What made you, not to you, but to kombucha brands?
Yeah.
What made you pivot into the different brands?
I just thought that firstly, I'd been doing this now for, 3-ish years. So if I was to almost go again with a blank canvas, what would I do? That was quite an interesting place to dream. And secondly, I think they needed different brands, because I think a prebiotic soda like Fibe is a gateway for the soda customer to eventually end up on kombucha. And I wanted them to be different products. There was a lot of synergy in-house, in terms of production capability, same head office team, you name it. I'm speaking to buyers about kombucha. Great, I can weave in that I've got another gut health brand. Are you interested? So in terms of already getting a foot in the door, that was also helpful. And actually, I find that Fibe and Fix8 help each other out.
Interesting. Because the other one is it James Cadbury? He's got the two brands. He's got Love Cocoa and Hip.
Yeah. It's not easy. And
what are the unforeseen, absolute throbbing headaches with having two brands?
I think, when I launched Fix8, maybe I could compare it to having two children that I haven't had, but I imagine it's like this. Your first one, you give all the attention to, oh my gosh, they're so spoilt, sole attention. And then when you have your second, that attention is divided in two. So that is definitely a challenge. And the other is really the brand world. So I'm writing the copy for both of them, but I've got to be really careful that I'm speaking Fix8 language and I'm speaking Fibe language. They're two different brands. They're housed by the same limited company, but they're two different brands.
That's mad. How are you doing that with the tone of voice? Because I think tone of voice is this weird, back to the friend thing I was telling you about. The really great brands have this ability it doesn't have to come from the founder, it comes from the core team, but basically the first 5 employees know that tone of voice in and out. And they can weave into the brand, and it's kind of like a connection to the consumer.
Yeah.
You know, like with Camilla, for example, at Rude Health, the way that brand speaks is so Camilla, right? You can just know it a mile off. How are you doing that, again, dividing your attention between your two babies? How the tone of voice is going to be different per brand?
I think they've both got different personalities, right? You know, Fix8 slightly more premium.
I was just thinking of that. They're literally, if you're looking at interviewing your kids.
They are.
This one likes going
There's
out in the garden.
so many F's in my life. I mean, look at our mugs.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
They've got different personalities, right?
Yeah.
So I've got to be a chameleon.
Right.
I can't, do the same thing for both of them. Fix8 slightly more premium. It speaks to the more educated customer, perhaps, who knows a bit about gut health. They're interested in kombucha. To even get to the point of buying a kombucha, you've got to have gone on some kind of functional journey or be curious about your health. Whereas with Fibe, we're speaking to the soda customer. We're speaking to that orange Fanta customer that cannot get off it. And we are offering them something which tastes pretty identical.
That's fruit twist to me. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way.
No.
In like
I kid you not. When I was recipe developing for Fibe, I would sit there with, 30 different soda brands next to me, just taste. And I would not stop till we hit the nail on the head. The hardest part was doing it all naturally because there are so many different potassium sorbate and all those things that they add, which give you such a great mouthfeel that soda does. How can we make that the same? So it was really challenging. But
how did you do that? Or can you talk about that?
I don't know. I do know how we did it, but trial and error, really. And we worked with an absolute shit-hot recipe developer who's developed products for Diageo, M&S, and we just said, we will not stop until we land on it. It's a combination of tweaking. I mean, you look at the ingredients of Fibe, it's all natural, but we've got a bit of calcium in there. Also, I would say the actual fibre, the chicory root, has a really nice mouthfeel to it. So we could get a lot of that. We basically pulled the levers that we could because the brief was, this is an all-natural drink.
This is new age fun with a vintage feel.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
It's new age fun. So this is a brand for future soda drinkers.
Also, sorry for listeners, that's on the back of the Fibe packaging.
Yeah, so new age fun with a vintage feel. Fibe is a soft drink for future soft drinkers, let's say. But it's vintage because it tastes like classic soda. It's a nostalgic taste. Do you remember in the 90s when soda was just carefree and fun and you would have a can of pop and you would not know that all the sugar and all the artificial sweeteners were doing you harm. So you were just carefree. So this is basically saying, relive that moment, be carefree again, because it tastes super classic. It tastes vintage, old school soda that you know and love, but it's just made for modern day drinkers. So now I can say to, let's say, Charlie, who's drinking his Fanta orange, try Fibe Zesty Orange and tell me what you think.
Are they manufactured in the same place?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not an absolute headache then.
No. A lot of things we consolidate.
Interesting.
Credit terms, supply setup. We're one limited company. Even now when I'm saying to a retailer, set me up. We've got 2 brands, one limited company, less of a headache for you. They like that.
Yeah, it's I just liked testing what I think. So I would have always said just do one brand, get that going. But now,
that's what I've been told as well. Lots of people have told me, don't do that. You'll create double the work.
Yeah, who's told you not to do that? What do they say? Oh my God, I am so excited. It feels like Hungary is finally swimming in the big leagues. I can't believe this. It's absolutely mental. But delighted to announce that Big Fish, yes, Big Fish, are partnering the podcast. Perry's been on the podcast 3 times. Listeners absolutely love it. Some of our most downloaded and cherished episodes of all time. But Big Fish are behind literally so many brands in your cupboard, in your weekly shop. Charlie Bigham, Year Valley, Tyrrell's, Clipper Tea, Goo, Rana. I mean, mate, the list is longer than the River Nile. But they also share risk and invest in brands that they really believe are a force for good. They're brands that they believe are going to be the next big thing, like Howder, the snack that gives back. But even more exciting news, Big Fish want to speak to the next wave of small challenger food and drink brands that are destined for big things, the raconteurs, the movers, shakers, buccaneering visionaries. So look, if you want to speak to Big Fish and just have a chat, get your brand in front of them, then drop me a message. My mate Louis from Local Beer, Amazing Beer, was in their office, aka La Fish Bowl, last week, chatting to Perry, Freddie and the Big Fish crew. So drop me a message if you would like to speak to them. Okay. You don't have to whisper because I'll take that out. I love how you whispered even nicer than I take it out. What did that person say?
He said, don't do another brand. Do it under Fix8. Save yourself the headache. And I said, no, I'm up for the challenge. And I think I need a blank piece of paper for this. I think basically Fix8 is the engine right now for Fibe. But I think Fibe could very quickly overtake Fix8. And I think prebiotic soda is landing in the UK. It's a really exciting market. Who knows how it will resonate with the customer, but we launched Fibe in March this year and the rate of sale has been astronomical. I mean, in Selfridges, where we launched into, we were doing very well. We were their number 3 best-selling soft drink, and that's overtaking, a couple of key big names in there. That was from the outset because people get it. It's not like kombucha where they're suspicious because they've tried 10 different brands and they all taste different. Fibe tastes like a classic vintage soda with new age feel.
The other thing with kombucha that's always going to be a hurdle is the customer has to be patient. What I mean by this is, the first time you have a beer as a kid or a glass of wine, that's fucking disgusting. Not saying it's disgusting, sorry, but like,
no,
I'm saying
100%,
you're drinking
100%.
it and you're thinking, what is that?
Exactly.
And then by the time you've had your 5th beer, you're like, oh yeah, that's delicious. Same with me with Guinness. First time I had Guinness, I love the stuff now. Especially on a day like this, cold Guinness. Oh my God. It takes 3 or 4 goes.
Yeah.
Kombucha has that journey, not
It
for all,
does.
but for most. But with this, bosh, I'm in, mate. That's Fanta.
100%.
Fibe's cartel.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And actually, when I was getting Fix8 off the ground, and the litmus test was always my parents, right? Would they drink it? Dad loves his wine. G&T loves a Pepsi Max as well. So if my dad wasn't going to drink it, how was I going to convince John in Hull to like kombucha? The moment my dad started to like the Fix8 we were producing, I thought, bang, we're onto a winner. But with Fibe, he instantly loved it. And I think to be truly mainstream, you can't always divide a room. You have to be unanimously loved. And that, I think, historically has been a challenge for kombucha. I don't think it will be going forward because there's a huge array of brands and you've got a whole spectrum now from your quite chewy, vinegary kombuchas to your really mass market, almost like a sparkling water kombucha. So there's a huge range. So I don't think it's patience that the kombucha consumer needs. I think it's curiosity to keep trying until they find one they like. Because when I sample, and I still do it, one of the things I love most is standing in front of that customer saying, go on, tell me what you think. And the amount of people that might say to me, I tried kombucha once before, I don't like it. And I just have to say, hold your breath, try this again. And the amount of people whose minds I have changed, that for me is inspiration, because I see people when they try Fix8, it doesn't have that vinegary bite to it that traditionally kombucha does have. And that is bringing people into the category and hopefully growing it. But we have to be careful, because I was pitching to a retailer recently and I thought before the meeting, let me just go and have a look at their online reviews for what, the customers are saying about kombucha at the moment. And I was shocked. I thought, oh my God, I'd never even realized this. So I am now, as of about 3 weeks ago, a firm believer. I should say from the outset, I'm not anti-stevia. I think stevia is a phenomenal sweetener derived from plants, very valid in a lot of things. In fact, we use it in Fibe. But I think the kombucha customer is anti-stevia. They don't want it in their drink. And there's a real issue with a lot of supermarket brands in the kombucha world having stevia in their product, and I think putting people off the category because they don't like the taste of it.
Yeah, it's so interesting teasing and pulling out all the complexities of the category. It is like the complexities of your
and try telling that to a buyer.
Yeah,
how do you
your microbiome? It's just as confusing getting it as confusing as it is, and complex it is. Maybe it's a better way for your actual body. Getting that, it seems like it's riddled with complexity in terms of speaking to retail as well. Out of your two babies, which ones gets more love now?
They both get love from different customers, I'd say. Like, let's say Jack and Jill, married couple.
This is actually Jack and Jill.
Well, no, but I spoke to Jack and Jill.
Was it a bit of a nightmare getting up there? Sorry,
I should have chosen different names. I met a couple.
What's the other one? Bill and Ben. The flower men. Yeah, sorry.
I spoke to a couple once when I was sampling, and she was a massive kombucha drinker, and she was like, love kombucha, love this, love Fix8, blah, blah, blah. And, her husband, partner, Jack.
I love it also, when people try something that's like a bit new, because obviously every time I've sampled everything, there's always the early adopter, and with food and drink, the early adopter always has before they I know all about kombucha.
Yeah, 100%.
My stupid husband Jack, who should be carrying the shopping, knows fuck all about it. But I know all about it.
But he just, he's red Coke through and through, and red Coke, as in a red can of Coke.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
He just doesn't. He won't veer from that. Functional drinks, sparkling waters. No, he doesn't want any of the wacky stuff. He wants no hibiscus in his drinks. He wants no ginseng. He just wants classic soda. So kombucha for him, he's not there yet. So Jill's knocking back kombuchas. Jack is massive skeptic of anything other than mainstream soda. And I say, just taste this Fibe. He has a sip. Oh my gosh, but this just tastes like soda. There's nothing really wow about it apart from, oh my God, it just tastes like soda. And therefore we see basically two different customer base really speaking to the different brands.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think you're right in having the two brands.
Why do you think that?
Because I'll be honest, on my way here in the fucking rain, as I was getting slammed on, one of the things I was kind of thinking about is, oh God, surely my piece of resistance is do one piece of resistance. You can be my French teacher on that. Is do one thing well. Just focus. And I did think there's going to be a why behind Freya doing this, but I can't think of the answers in my head. But I was like, why would you create two brands? I don't understand
Well,
that.
the mission
But
is
now
the
you've
same.
told me the mission's the same. Is actually they're manufactured in the same place. He's like less of a headache. They're ultimately solving two problems and speaking to two customers. One's speaking to Jill, the other's speaking to Jack. They need to be spoken to differently. I don't know why that's funny. Point one, one's prebiotic, one's prebiotic. Fibe is the gateway drug to full-blown kombucha. It makes sense. And actually, this is one thing that hasn't been talked or has been briefly touched upon in this podcast. And maybe this didn't happen to you, but what you said about is as being a blank slate of paper, piece of paper. Yeah. You don't use slates, do you? It's not caveman times, but is Laura from Caravan Coffee said to me, what people don't talk about is founders not getting bored of their brand, but you've got all these ideas bubbling about. It's like, could you put it into something new? And I think it's interesting because obviously if you were to go and launch a chocolate bar, I'd be like, well, that is not stupid. That's really harsh, but like,
no.
but as in like, why are you doing that? But it gives you a whole new canvas to paint on, which is really interesting. So it makes complete sense. Which one's performing? So where are they both distributed?
So Fix8 is in Waitrose. We're going into a couple more retailers this year. Fibe is still kind of in wholesale, out of home. We're in the Virgin Clubhouses. We're in WeWork, Selfridges, Whole Foods. We should have a retailer coming on at the start of next year, but we are waiting.
How are you driving the rate of sale?
Tasting. Well, for both of them, actually. And that's the other beauty. Now, whenever we're doing samplings, we're bringing both brands. And mostly in food service, this is working amazingly well. I mean, food service is growing this year to be a huge part of our business.
Food service is a Narnia
offices,
itself.
yeah. Food service is absolute Narnia. But, offices, contract catering.
Right.
So now, for example, we're at Microsoft doing a sampling for Fix8. I've got a couple of cans of Fibe here, speaking to the catering manager. Do you want to taste it?
So you can upsell them.
Oh, we're constantly playing that. And they speak to different audiences. In fact, one of the things that I didn't discover about Fibe, which I'm loving at the moment, is how it speaks to kids and then how it speaks to parents of kids. So this tastes like soda, right? And your kid who is drinking a load of soda that you don't want them to be drinking because it's not good for them. In fact, actively bad for them, we now know. Great, have a can of Fibe.
So I was literally talking about this in my newsletter this morning. Well, not to my newsletter, but I was writing about this morning. And every challenger brand always thinks because not all, but most founders are probably between 25 and 40, let's just say, for example. So they always speak to that, they speak to that consumer. So usually 30, this is a generalization. But I was thinking, well, why are so many brands scared of communicating to either someone who's 65 or 70 or a kid? And maybe it doesn't work with a kid, but there's always be a dormant market that's part of your brand. And actually, I think in real life, you don't change from the age of, I'm now 30, I still think my values and my psychology, like in terms of me, are pretty similar to when I was 20. My mates who are 40, I get on them just as well even though I'm 30. When you're 57, you still think and feel, you still have the same values, right? But in business, in real life, you stay the same, is what I'm trying to say. But in business speak, at business university, suddenly when you have kids, you're an alien. Suddenly when you become 60, you're an alien. So don't bother speaking to the old people. And actually, I was thinking, why don't more brands go and speak to the older demographic? And a brand that's doing this so well is Dirty. You know Dirty?
The
mushroom tea.
Yeah.
So they've got this... really, like, she looks incredibly vibrant and healthy, but she must be a slightly older lady. I don't want to hazard her name, hazard the age, because I'll get crucified. But slightly older, very, in very sprightly spirits, basically. But it allows them to unlock that Dirty, which is a brand for, say, 30-year-olds, 25 to 40-year-olds. They've unlocked a whole new market. And I was looking today, 29% of the population is over 60. So suddenly think of a brand that speaks to a 60, 70-year-old.
Yeah.
I can't think of it. with this, the absolute genius is you didn't probably think of creating the brand for, you probably thought of creating the brand for people our age, but maybe slightly older.
Yeah.
That is perfect for kids.
yeah.
That's David Lloyd. Put that David Lloyd in the kids section, not the kids section.
Put it in a vending machine.
Yeah.
And the best thing is that it doesn't taste healthy.
Yeah.
And that's what kids don't want that. They want naughty, they want sweet, they want indulgence. So how can we dress that up in a really healthy way? And actually, you know, each can of Fibe has 5 grams of fibre in it. That can make a massive impact on their life. I think it was Tim Spector on Diary of a CEO podcast. He said 5 grams more of fibre per day can reduce your risk of death by 10 to 15%. And when he said that, I nearly stopped in my tracks because I just thought, oh my gosh, that is such a bold statement. And yet we're all in this fibre deficit. Kids even more so if they're growing up on ultra processed food. So why don't we just substitute their can of pop with something beneficial? Think about how good that could be for them.
What have been the hardest kind of challenges? What's been the worst day?
Gosh, in the early days, it would be like kombucha leaking everywhere. I used to joke that my perfume was odor kombucha because I would just smell like vinegar all the time. We used to brew in South London, so I'd be smelling like the brewery. It was, yeah. I think deep lows. The pandemic was really terrible for us. We didn't have any retail listings. So I just landed Gail's Bakery. And then the next month it's, sorry guys, we're going to have to basically change our whole fridge to only stock daily household essentials. We're talking butter, eggs, bread. There's no room for kombucha. So that really turned the business on its head. And I'd say we've emerged massively stronger. And again, kind of goes back to not rejection, but trusting the universe. Everything works out in the end for the best. But there's nothing I would regret as well. It feels weird to say it, but I'm kind of happy the pandemic happened now because of how it just reframed everything for me. And how it made me think about the business, my role in the business. And it kind of gave time, I suppose.
You said it reframed everything.
Yeah, I think, it had to because the world changed, the consumer changed. All of a sudden, we're building a D2C business overnight. Well, hang on, that wasn't part of the plan. Our plan was to grow the product in the out of home. Oh, God, that's evaporated. Where are customers now? So we built online. That was a big benefit. Now we've got a direct relationship with the whole customer base. So I also met, bizarrely, so many people over the pandemic because we were also raising money at the time. So if you were an investor, you'd probably be out at a lot of meetings. Well, I could be certain that you'd be at home. So hopping on a Zoom call with anyone was so much easier. So in terms of network, the pandemic was the best thing it could have happened because you could just speak with pretty much anyone on a quick Zoom call. But it was challenging. You know, I overworked, I panicked. I didn't know what to do when I panicked, then I'd work some more. And it kind of just got me to a place where I was really unhappy with the business. And actually now that we're through the other side of that, I feel the happiest I've ever been in the business and gave birth to another one.
How did you, what are some of the weaknesses you've had to kind of chip away at? Because I think one of I spoke to the Pophams. You know Pophams?
Oh, yeah.
Love
Pophams.
is banging. Are they near? I don't want to smash the Jolene as well.
Yeah.
Randomly, did Jolene do like healthy salads or anything like that? Or is it just straight up bakery?
No, it's good, amazing sandwiches.
Really? What sort of sonnies?
Like big focaccia ones. We're talking
I can't have like a cake halves for a bit. But anyway, that's for a different day. But I think founders, one of the greatest things of being a founder is as much as it's like you creating this thing for the world, you solving a problem, is you actually go on this personal self-discovery journey that you can't get on a Barclays grad scheme, and you can't get, you know, in the Barclays Tower 7 feet up, whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? It's just not there. What have you learned about the Freya? How has the Freya changed from being in French Connection in China to now?
French concession
When we're sat in
Newington Green.
Newington Green, and yeah.
How has the Freya changed?
Or Freya, not the Freya. But.
How has Freya changed? I think she's braver. She's a lot more confident. I think she realizes that her strengths can also be her weaknesses. You know,
So I don't know why I did that. But
I think. Thanks.
Sorry, you know that. I have the same thing. It's like the thing you're great at is the thing you're shit at.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What's your greatest strength? That's your greatest weakness?
Probably that word that I think about a lot, but curiosity. My curiosity, which is my greatest strength, is also my greatest weakness, because it means that I'll find the solution to anything and I will find a way through. But also it means that I'm too interested by a lot of things. I might not say no to enough. Someone asked me for dinner on a Monday night. Sure, curious. How you been? Want to see you? Want to hang out? So I think like boundaries are something that I've been a bit better at putting in place. Still not perfect. The double-edged sword. But I think I'm having fun now. I feel a lot more playful with the business, definitely with Fibe. You know, I think the first 3 years were super serious for me, and then the pandemic were even more serious for me.
Just for listeners, your eyes have gone like Voldemort in a nice way. It's
Look
like
into my
super
eyes.
serious. Yeah. But like that, just let's ease that off. Like even the facial expression you just gave me just then, it looked quite like you're about to eat me. I'm joking. But it looked like this seriousness. I'm trying to do that now. Is have obviously like this conversation is always going to be super playful and fun. Well, but the behind the scenes is like there's so much goes into it, and I'm being way too intense with it. I'm just that's why I'm half the reason I'm fucking off, right? Because it's like just be a million, gazillion, trillion miles away from it.
Yeah.
And it will help me have more fun with it. How did you, when you say you were super serious, your face was like all scrunched together. Talk to me about why that was, or what did that feel like?
I think it was just focused. That's how, I was really, the business was everything to me.
Yeah.
And I probably needed that because I was digging so deep and hopefully planting the deepest roots for the greatest tree. And I needed that level of focus and that level of discipline with the business then. But I definitely compromised on social things, and, I was just head down, I couldn't see the wood from the trees. I could only see kombucha world. And now, I suppose a lot of those seeds have been planted. I can take a step back, know my strengths, and watch things grow. Also doing the work. But I've spent more days, I've spent more hours, I've spent more time, I've got more learnings under my belt. When I left university, I'd never really had a job before, I'd never had a boss. So starting this from scratch was a massive leap of faith, and everything's been self-taught really. So now I just have the confidence to think, oh my gosh, okay, we've done it. When we launched into Waitrose, that was the biggest moment for me.
What year was this?
Last year. We launched in 2022.
Describe that buzz. How did you get what did they say on the emails, at phone calls?
Oh my gosh. It was so intense and I loved it.
Talk to me.
I was in Greece. It's amazing when you sort of take your foot off the gas, finally things actually do.
Yeah.
So I was on holiday and I got an email from the Waitrose buyer.
Were you on the beach? Were you getting ready for an evening, or what were you doing?
Yeah, I think I was sat on the beach having a cheeky, illegal look at my emails, but, I'm only human.
Yeah, #founder.
But when you see a certain name pop up, you think, whew, eyes going in. And it was a email that said, "Hi Freya, I promised you when the time was right, I would be in touch." True to her word, like that as a buyer. "The time is now. Please send me samples and a commercial proposal in 48 hours. Balls. Just on my holiday. Obviously, Waitrose, massive priority for us. So quick, whip everything together. Quick team call the next morning. Get everything in shape. Get commercials over. Get product over. Literally 7 days later, tasted all of them on the market. Yours is by far the best. We're launching you in 3 months' time." Oh my gosh. I just remember, I think I welled up a bit, but also it wasn't the big kind of champagne moment that I get more of a champagne moment when I see someone drinking a can in the wild. That for me is when I think, oh my gosh, it's actually happening. You know, they are out there and they are selling and people are drinking them and people are enjoying it and they're benefiting from it.
So that's such an interesting thing to explore because founders think the champagne moment is going to be the listing.
Which, don't get me wrong.
Which it is.
Yeah,
but
it's
actually,
more of a Prosecco moment.
Yes, but more of a Prosecco or like maybe a cup of tea from Hull. I know you said tea started in China. I think it started in Hull. If you actually zoom out and look at, say you're doing this journey for 10 years, let's just say 10 years, and let's say you get 6 retailers. That's 6 days of that champagne moment on the journey. Let's just say you get the big, I know it's the big 4, but let's say 6 for a few others in there. That's 6 days. It's 300, how many days in the year?
365.
365. 3,650 days if you're doing this for 10 years. 6 of them are those big listing moments. And actually, if you zoom out, those moments is so small that actually it's the small things, seeing someone drink your product in the wild, that's the champagne moment. And I think for people listening to this is I was just about to kill my Fibe. Kill my Fibe. Bitch, don't kill my Fibe.
Got me, lose it.
What have you lugged in? Oh, collagen. I need to... Oh, really? Yeah. Where's that? In Cheshire. Oh, nice. Right, let me just get back into the mood.
Back to champagne moment.
Yeah, but what I was saying is it's always going to be the little moments, and I think it's a good reframe for founders who are going through struggle because it's like, mate, this moment you think this panacea is going to happen, where it's the Waitrose listing. It's actually not that. It's amazing, but it's the little things. And Liv from Trip, they do a great job of this. She said when we got to 10,000 followers, the excitement was 10 times greater than when we got to 100,000. Yeah. It's always going to be the little things. And they have this WhatsApp group or Slack group. They're a startup, and they celebrate those little champagne moments. I think it's really interesting. How you said that. So
it's like stopping to smell, you know, that old expression, stopping to smell the roses, you know, just dwelling on that a bit more. The amount of time we're just rushing down the street trying to get to the end point, but how often do you stop to smell the roses and find beauty in the mundane? That, I think, is a lot more meaningful and makes you enjoy the journey and the process of building. Because, as we were saying before this, actually it's such a privilege to do what we do, and I'm definitely at a point now where I wake up every day and think, wow, I don't have to do this, I get to do this. And I'm so grateful, even in those hard days of rejection, of no's, of sickness or whatever. I'm so grateful for that, all of this.
So did the 4-pack go into Waitrose?
Yeah, yes.
What's that like, driving the rate of sale with a 4-pack in the other side of the store? Because again, I know the hottest piece of real estate is the meal deal.
Yeah.
But what have been the challenges of that? Because people don't. I wonder what the footfall is down that aisle versus.
Let me tell you, very small. What I will tell you is that I was very nervous initially going into the back of store without a front of store listing, our first major retailer, and we've been blown away by our sales in there. And we're all trying to still figure out why, because they have had kombucha for a while, and yet without a front of store presence or any real estate in the store other than the back, we've performed really well. And I think it's a combination of bold, colourful branding, which pops on the shelf, so it attracts people over. Once they buy it, the taste is great. That drives repeat purchase. It's getting liquid on lips. It's the same old in beverage. Get people trying it. When they realise they like it, they'll repurchase you. And then price. That's got to be really important, right? So we had to be really mindful about what price we were going to recommend the retailer. Obviously, it's up to them. But working on that and then working backwards to make sure all our commercials stacked up was really important. So a lot of things had to align. But since we've launched, we've done secondary space, we've done samplings outside stores, we've worked really hard on the listing, we've got a great buyer, lots of things are working out for us.
What have you been doing outside of London to drive the rate of sale? What have you been doing much?
Yeah, actually, when we launched, I convinced my mum to come on another kombucha journey with me, and we drove round about 10 Waitrose stores in the south, and it was just buying product, giving it to the manager there, giving them a big, hello, so nice to meet you. This is one of the greatest days of my life, seeing this product in the store. Really, some of our best-selling stores are outside of London. Brighton, amazing store for us. Jersey, a great store for us. So I think it's, building your online presence, making sure people are trying the liquid, and then we're kind of building again off that kombucha gut health category. So when they see us in store, they want to pick us up.
Tell me about the gut health retreat. Nutrition. I just out following my curiosity. I suppose that's kind of why I've got a podcast, because there's no boundaries with my curiosity.
So 2 weekends ago now, I was away. 2 weekends ago, I was away on a gut health retreat. It's a nutritionist that I've known through doing kombucha and prebiotic soda called Clarissa Lenner. Amazing Harley Street nutritionist, specialised in gut health. And about 6 months ago, I saw she was running a retreat and just said, would love to come with my mum. And by the way, do you want some kombucha? I can even teach a workshop for you. Amazing. So we went, a couple of weekends ago. All the food was designed around good gut health, and it was following a low FODMAP diet, if you know anything about that.
What sort of stuff should I be eating then?
I think you just want to, I am not a nutritionist, so you should definitely research this, but it's avoiding things like alliums. So like onions, garlic, anything that can be triggering for an inflamed digestion or digestive tract. Right. So it's low FODMAP, really simple foods that aren't going to trigger any inflammation in the gut. These foods are good, but not if you struggle with things like IBS or any digestive health problems. So lots of fresh air. There was a sauna. There was lots of yoga. We had a sound bath one night. We had a cacao. We had a sound bath.
What's that?
It's essentially you can think of it like a sonic massage. It's where
you compared it to a sonic massage. I'm thinking, what is a sonic massage? Yeah.
Again, we're probably going to get a bit woo-woo, but we're all made up of different vibrations, different things of different frequencies. You'll notice how you feel when you listen to classical music, whereas when you listen to Slipknot, for example. And sound has a way it can reverberate within the system and almost put you in a state of rest and peace and a liminal state almost, where you're not asleep but you're not awake. And it's always on liminal, on the borders, liminal places where change often happens. So when it's the same in yoga nidra, which is sleep yoga.
I've done that.
Yeah. So your body goes into a state of such deep relaxation where it's not asleep, but it's not awake. And you're in this liminal state of being. And it's where your subconscious really rests. So it's deep, deep rest for the body. You know, some people might just like a snooze to music and call it a sound bath, but there are different vibrations of different instruments, you know, like a gong. Not a snooze to Slipknot, but you can use a gong. There's singing bowls. There's different sounds we can create with different instruments, and the way that then interacts with the body at a cellular vibrational level can be very nourishing and healing for the body.
Do you still do yoga meditation now?
I do. I don't do yoga as much
Because
we got a Peloton. And I love Leanne Hainsby. I do still do yoga, and I do meditate most days, to be honest.
what are the lessons you take from meditation and yoga that you apply to brand building as a founder?
Oh. I think, if anything, meditation just slows me down. I'm probably quite an impatient person, and I want to make decisions fast and move and go, go, go. But actually, it's in those times where, you know, I have my eyes closed, I've got no screen in front of me, no stimulus, that I can really reflect on, is that a good decision? For example, hiring. There is something I find very useful around, I'm not purposely meditating on a hire, but I can...
Imagine someone standing in front of you. Right, great interview. Yeah. I just need to meditate for 10 minutes. Stay there.
No, it's not that. It's more, you know, in those 10 minutes in the morning where you've just woken up, your brain is so susceptible and malleable to what you're about to put in your body. So if the first thing you do is flick onto Instagram or the news, which, don't get me wrong, we're all human, we all do it, it can just get the brain sizzling already. And actually, just by first thing in the morning, shutting your eyes, again, allowing things to come up. Things for me have come up like, yes, they're the person we need to hire for XYZ reasons. So I think it just creates the space for me to make better informed decisions, really. And feel...
Is the internal, is what I was saying at the beginning.
Yeah.
So those, I think, decisions like hiring, really interesting. Talk to me about hiring, because you said you had a co-founder at the beginning.
Yes, we went separate ways after the pandemic. Very amicable. He wanted to retire, so we went separate.
How old is this book?
Early 60s.
Oh, fair. I don't know why. Is there something bad there? I don't know. I just think it. I think it's
very worried about age, aren't you?
The ageist thing, yeah. I was worried about that. Okay, that's interesting. And then how have you been hiring otherwise?
In all honesty, we've run it very lean. Up until about May this year, it's just been 2 people. And then I was sampling with someone who was at university, and I saw her walk over to the fridge during the sampling, bearing in mind she'd had pretty much no training. And I saw her just so politely say to a customer, "Hi there, just saw you about to reach for a Diet Coke. Please, can I just interest you in tasting this kombucha? It's super delicious. It's really good for your gut." And I just knew in my head, oh my gosh, she's amazing. We need her. The bravery, the way she thought as an entrepreneur as well. And, you know, she's just a brilliant character. And she was pretty much one of our first hires. And then we've hired another grad since then, and now we're sort of about to onboard a new head of sales, head of commercial, really, who's got a really good amount of experience. But we've got a great senior leadership team, a brilliant board behind us who are very much a guiding hand. So, you know, we kind of have that perfect combination of zesty, vibrant energy, go-getters, feet on the street, and then this kind of these wise heads also. And that combination has worked very well, because you need the doers and you need the thinkers, and you need that measured wisdom alongside that hustle and energy and risk. And I think when you put that together, you get for a great startup.
It's almost like that's like you have the go-getters and the wise heads. You have the two different brands, the prebiotic and the probiotic. They come together, they alchemize. Final thing I want to wrap up on, because I've loved this, Freya, is you said some of your curiosity. We were talking about some of your favourite books. What are some of your favourite books? I'm asking this more just because I'll go and buy them, because I like speaking to interesting people who read interesting things.
A classic one, which is very short to read, which is great over a Christmas period, although very deep and meaningful, is A Man's Search for Meaning.
Yeah, I've read
Have you read that?
Yeah.
Absolutely loved that. Would you want fiction, non-fiction?
Light-hearted Christmas. If you read now at Christmas, fucking hell.
Yeah, but it's a great
Sleigh
book.
bells ring. Yeah, no, that is a good book. There's a quote from that which is, in between stimulus and response is space, and in that space is
the ability to
choose. I feel like you are my teacher today. I'm getting there. Yeah, what was the final one?
Like, I've read so many books.
We can wrap it up at Man's Search for Meaning.
I think there's like a juicy one. Can I just quick look on my bookshelf?
Yeah, run, go for it.
In that time, keep one. But I've read that you didn't get one. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, the podcast's over here, mate.
Oh, here we go. One of the spiritual ones. This was a book.
Yeah, speaking to the mic.
Okay, this was a book recommended to me on my yoga teacher training, actually, so we come full circle.
Right.
And it's called, I really struggled to find it, it's probably available on Amazon now, Zen Flesh, Zen Bones. And it's a whole host of different Zen writings and teachings. And I love it because I get a book on my bedside table and it just gives me anxiety sometimes looking at the amount I haven't read of it. Whereas this, I could just pick up and read a page, and I always find it meaningful, thought-provoking, helps me reflect, and it's super easy. So whether you read one writing, one teaching, or 10 in one night, doesn't matter.
The Amazon priming that bad boy now. Freya, been an absolute delight. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dan.